Well, hello, hello, hello. Much love to you all. May God bless you all. Hit that like button. At the end of this, I'll have a link pop up to a YouTube short I'd put out. Help get that going for the algorithm for the glory of Jesus Christ. Maybe it enlighten somebody to click onto the link on it and to listen to a sermon and to maybe get freed from something. So, we're going to go over a little bit of news today. The cyclone Boris prompts flood warnings across the Czech Republic, Poland, and Austria, while sudden snowstorm claims life in Italy. Guys, it's time after time we're having news reports about the weather, how crazy the weather is getting. The weather is just unpredictable in these days. Of course, we're living in the biblical end days, so it's expected to be unpredictable. But it says the cyclone Boris is forecasted to drop some 15.7 inches of rain across parts of Central Europe over the next 3 days, prompting widespread flood warnings and emergency preparations in countries like Czech Republic, Poland, Austria, Germany, and Slovakia, if I'm saying it right. Parts of Central Europe have also seen 200 plus millimeters, that's 8 inches of rain over the past 2 days, while a real sudden snowstorm just hits Italy's mountains and claims the life of a person and left another one with severe hypothermia. I mean, weather's, just for instance, here in Indiana, you can see at the bottom of my screen it says 80. Last week we were in the high 90s, and then the next day it was like low of 39 degrees, only got to a high of 60 for a few days, and then it's been back up in the high 80s. Yesterday was like 89 degrees. Today it's partly cloudy. It's going to be back like 88 degrees tomorrow. This weather is so up and down. I mean, it's one, prompting people to get sick. Two, these storms are hitting in such a surprise that there's no recovery. I mean, just across the whole board. You go from where we're talking about here to Texas, Louisiana, storms. You got the wildfires everywhere, guys. This stuff is getting worse and worse and worse. And this is a sign of the times that you got to get your life right with Jesus Christ. Nobody's perfect, but let's not use that as an excuse. So, guys, keep these people in prayers out there. Let's be praying more and more. Last night's war hour is all about prayer. Come in and join on those. It's the best time. We're doing them 2 times a month now. Best time as a church is to come together in prayer. When we are in prayer, we are abiding in Christ. We have some really serious stuff to talk about before I go to a couple other. So, Tropical Storm Ileana brings heavy rains and floods to Mexico. If I'm saying that name right too. So the Baja California Peninsula is getting ready to be hit by a huge storm. As on the other side, over towards Texas, they just got hit by a storm. It's just one after another. And all these are going to spread out throughout the United States, and there's going to be winds in some areas or rains or tornadoes. I mean, that's just bound term to happen with all this. This heavy rain is expected across western Mexico and southern Baja California. Through this weekend, this heavy rainfall will bring risk of flash flooding, mudslides to portions of the area. I think it was around in this area over here just last week, we were talking about the grounds cracking apart. With the ground cracking apart and floods that can come through, it's going to only weaken the environment there even more. And either way, it's just going to be very, very brutal. So a vehicle was swept away, as we can tell right here, if I can get my screen to scroll down. So it's already hit, as you can tell. It's already hit in some of the areas. I can't click on these because I don't have a Twitter. If it's more than one video, it won't let me click on it. But here's more video footage. I think this one's one we already watched right here. That was the first video. Sometimes they're clipped together. Here's another one. Road collapsed. Well, this just kind of goes with what I was talking about. Ground cracking apart in some areas. It's just going to weaken it more and more. I didn't even see this video with it yet. So it just goes with what I was talking about there. So, like I said, they're expecting through this whole weekend to have heavy rainstorms. Already got flooding. Add more rain to it, it's only going to get worse. Got a couple videos here I'm going to show of more destructions once it loads. This is Louisiana after that hurricane headed through. They're back underwater once again. When Louisiana gets hit, being so far under, it's never good. It's never good. I've been to Louisiana, New Orleans one time to street preach, and you can tell it's such an easy area to get flooded. It's just not as bad as Katrina, but a flood is a flood. Always brings widespread damage. All right, and the next one is Ecuador. Ecuador's wildfire. Ay, Dios mío, santo. Ay, cuidado. Man, you can tell it's hot. It's windy too. Doesn't help. This is just more wildfires to add to all the wildfires we report on weekly. It's every week talking about wildfires. Some amazing footage. This footage was taken yesterday, though, so I will say this. Everything else was today's footage. This was yesterday's footage, though. All right, so this was pretty, let's say, peculiar here to read in the news articles that Iran is hiring HELLS Angels and other criminal gangs to hunt down regime critics. The HELLS Angels, probably the outlaws and other people as well are going to get in here. But Iran, so far, it's only in Eastern Europe and Canada that they have asked some of these criminal groups of the HELLS Angels to help them. So Iran is recruiting people within the countries, guys. We see this widespread. There's a big article that I'm going to probably have to go over here sometime soon about a speech that a guy had about Muslims years ago, and it's coming to pass. So I'm going to have to analyze it and break it down here sometime next week. But Iran is hiring Eastern European criminals to attack Iran international journalists. This guy was stabbed 4 times in March and left bleeding on the sidewalk. British investigators told the Washington Post that the attackers had not been from Iran and had no discernible connection to its security services. The attackers had reportedly been criminals hired from the Eastern Europe who faced few barriers to entering Britain via Heathrow Airport in the days before the attack and flying out just hours after the stabbing. We deny any link to the story of the so-called journalist, the country's ambassador of the United Kingdom said on X the day after the attack. This really is going to go with the other thing I was talking about, that I'm going to be putting together something because really the European nations are working with the Muslims big time. So, and of course, hey, you don't think these things happen in the criminal world? Let's give a little bit of, side cash to some of these criminals. Sometimes they use criminals to do things. The DEA, all of them, they do. Real stories. I mean, you could believe it if you want or not. But the HELLS Angels, Iran had also allegedly commissioned plots against a former Iranian military officer living under an assumed identity in the U.S., an exiled Iranian American journalist in Brooklyn, a woman rights activist in Switzerland, multiple LGBTQ plus activists in Germany, and at least 5 journalists in Iran internationally. Earlier this year, the U.S. Justice Department filed criminal charges against this Naji, however you say his last name, after he had allegedly sought $350,000 contract with two Hells Angels in Canada to kill a defector and his wife. So these biker gangs that recently have came out that they were trying to kick people out of America, some of them are being hired, it seems like, by the terrorists themselves. Also, German police arrest a Syrian man accused of plotting to attack soldiers with machetes. These things continue to rise up throughout Europe. This guy, 27-year-old Syrian, bought two machetes as a part of a plan to attack German soldiers on their lunch break. The German news site T-Online said the suspect had a radical Islamic background and that the goal of his attack was to unsettle and cause a stir. He was arrested on Thursday. So it says that this arrest came as Germany's government seeks to toughen its stance on irregular migration and border security after a Syrian refugee killed 3 people at a music festival. So, guys, we're seeing this stuff continue to rise. I'm going to have to go ahead and try to put this video together. Maybe I'll just go ahead and in this video here and add the clip of this at the end of this. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do because it goes with all of this. So let me put this up on the screen so you guys can see it. May God bless you.
Political strategy that favors appeasement over practical solutions. The shift from liberalism to atheism, then to secularism, and now to Islamism has been quite the ride. Islamists spotted their chance and jumped right in. This wasn't just a happy accident, it was all part of the plan. They've been playing a long game, they've been very patient, and the current state of European cities shows just how well they've pulled it off. There's this video in 2006 showing Muammar Gaddafi claiming that Islam would conquer Europe without firing a shot.
يعتقدون خطأ أن محمد هو نبي العرب أو المسلمين فقط. هذا خطأ. C'est une erreur. محمد نبي للناس كافة وهو ناسخ لكل الأديان التي قبله. لو أن عيسى حي عندما بعث محمد لأصبح عيسى تبع محمد. كل الناس مطلوب أن يكونوا مسلمين. المسلمين زعلوا واعتقدوا أن هذا قدح في نبيهم، لكن الذي قدح في محمد قدح في نبيه، لأن محمد نبي البشر الذين في اسكندنافيا واللي في أوروبا واللي في أمريكا واللي في آسيا واللي في أفريقيا، ولكن لأن المنهج الذي يقرونه في اسكندنافيا منهج مزور ويدعو للكراهية، اعتقدوا أن محمد ليس نبي لهم. فنتوقع أن تظهر صورة عيسى وفوق رأسه قنابل ذرية، لأن أتباع عيسى صنعوا القنابل الذرية، وصوروا محمد حوله نساء محجبات باعتبار المسلمات محجبات. نتوقع أن يصوروا حول عيسى نساء عاريات، لأن أتباع المسيحيات عاريات، اسكندنافيا النساء عاريات. على حال منهج الغرب أوروبا وأمريكا منهج يدعو للكراهية، ما في ذلك شك، وهو منهج فاسد ولا إنساني. وما يسمى بالعهد القديم والعهد الجديد ليس بالعهد القديم وليس بالعهد الجديد، لأن هذين العهدين منسوخان مزوران وكتبا باليد بعد عيسى بمئات السنين، وفي البايبل كلام لا يليق بعيسى ولا بموسى. وإذا أردنا أن نصحح وضع البشرية وأن نعيش في قرية كونية بسبب العولمة، يجب أن نبحث عن البايبل الصحيح، لأن البايبل الموجود الآن مزور. البايبل الموجود الآن ما فيه ذكر محمد، مع أن البايبل متاع ربنا مذكور فيه محمد مرارا وتكرارا. يجب أن نبحث عن إنجيل برنابة القديس برنابة، لأن هذا الإنجيل هو الصحيح. ومذكور فيه محمد بالتفصيل أنه سيأتي بعد عيسى. نحن نصحح تاريخ البشرية اليوم من تنبكتو. عندنا 50 مليون مسلم في أوروبا.
Nous avons 50 millions de musulmans en Europe.
وهناك علامات أخرى تدل على أن الإسلام سيظهر الله في أوروبا بدون سيف، بدون بندقية، بدون 50 مليون مسلم في أوروبا بعد عشرات السنين سيحول أوروبا إلى قارة مسلمة.
Une cinquantaine de millions d'Europe, si vous voulez, donc des centaines d'années. L'Europe, si Dieu le veut ou si Dieu nous donne vie, va devenir musulmane.
الله بيسخر أمة مسلمة وهي الأمة التركية بتدخل في الاتحاد الأوروبي. هذه 50 مليون مسلم.
Voilà une cinquantaine de millions de musulmans.
سيكون 100 مليون مسلم في أوروبا.
Donc il y aura une centaine de millions de musulmans en Europe.
البانيا دخلت في الاتحاد الأوروبي وهي دولة مسلمة. البوسنة دخلت في الاتحاد الأوروبي وهي دولة مسلمة أو 50% منها مسلمين. أوروبا الآن في ورطة وكذلك أمريكا.
Et ainsi de suite pour l'Amérique.
أما أن تقبل بأنها ستصبح مسلمة بمرور الزمن أو تعلن الحرب على المسلمين. كل الناس من حقها تحج لمكة والطوف بالكعبة. الآية تقول إنما المشركون نجس فلا يقربوا المسجد الحرام. يجي الرئيس الأمريكي بيحج يقولوا لا أنت نجس ومشرك. يرد علينا يقول أنا مانيش مشرك.
Il va nous dire non, non, moi je ne suis pas polythéiste.
وأنا مانيش نجس.
Et moi je ne suis pas une souillure.
كيف تتهموني على الاتهامات الخطيرة؟
Comment vous m'accusez de ceci?
كاني نجس ليش تصافحوا فيه وتاكلوا وتشربوا معي؟ طلع لنا الدولار اللي تعاملوا به وقلت تفضلوا اقروا اللي مكتوب على الدولار اللي انتم تتعاملوا به.
In God we trust.
مكتوب اللي قال المترجم نثق في الله.
God we trust.
واحد تعامل بالدولار جاب لنا دولار.
Voilà quelqu'un qui est à côté de moi qui a des dollars.
وين؟ اقرا.
Il adore le dollar.
اقرا. In God we trust.
In God we trust.
So does it really seem so radical what Gaddafi said in 2006? It really seems like a lot of that's taken place. The UK, Germany, all these places are being sacked across the whole world by Islamic terrorists. Fact of the matter is, you hear some of the words being said, it's going to be really bad for Europe and America. A lot of mocking America. Because really, so many Americans are oblivious to anything that's taken place, sadly, to tell you the truth. So may God bless you all. Hit that like button. Popping up on the screen is the YouTube short I was talking about. Please go in there and watch it. Hit the like button. Help get the algorithm going on that. So maybe it can help somebody get into the word of the Lord. Till we meet again, I'll be live tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for church. May God bless you.